In this week's video, we're going to discuss 3 important things you want to know about Seattle's real estate market and how it's being affected by the coronavirus. First, we'll talk about how the governor's restrictions on the real estate industry have eased a little more this week. We're going to talk about what those changes are and how they'll affect you. We're also going to talk about the governor's intent on his real estate restrictions and what that means to you in real life, and we're going to talk about the future of Seattle's real estate market after we recover from COVID-19. Hi, I'm Bob.Woolverton. I'm with Pure Real Estate in Bellevue, Washington. Here on YouTube, I'm known as your Northwest Realty Advisor. When we come back after this 8-second break, I'm going to talk about all 3 of those topics, so stick around. Remember in last week's video how I mentioned at that time professional photographers, staging companies, and moving companies were not considered essential services, and therefore they wouldn't be allowed to be involved in a real estate transaction? I also said stay tuned for this week's video because things were likely to change again. And boy howdy, 2 weeks in a row I got it right. Things did change again. Although, really, that's no major feat on my part because these changes were predictable. I mean, it didn't make any sense to allow a real estate transaction proceed all the way to the closing date only to tell people, you can't hire professional movers to help you move, so you'll just have to wait. That didn't make any sense at all. Well, that restriction got lifted this past week, along with the restriction on professional real estate photographers and staging companies. So the real estate industry is almost back to normal with a few restrictions that are still in place. And those restrictions are: in-person activities must be by appointment only, and the home's occupants have to vacate during the appointment, and no more than 2 people, including the broker, may be in the property at any one time, and those 2 persons must strictly follow social distancing guidelines established by the CDC and remain at least 6 feet apart at all times, and brokers should direct their buyers to listing photos, virtual tours, and videos to limit in-person showings. Which takes us to the topic of the governor's intent when he lifted his restrictions on his stay-at-home order as they relate to real estate transactions. The intent of lifting the restriction was to help people who were caught in a housing hardship. Just imagine for a moment, if someone was experiencing a financial hardship due to the coronavirus and had to move or had to sell their home right away, and everyone they called said, sorry, we can't help you. You're just stuck until the stay-at-home order is lifted. Imagine how helpless someone would feel. That was just as crazy as last week when the restrictions got lifted only slightly, which allowed people to finish their transactions that were already in process. But then when you got to closing, you weren't allowed to hire a moving company to help you move. Again, you were just stuck. It didn't make any sense. But now that many of these restrictions have been lifted, some agents are acting like it's business as usual, but that is not the intent. And I'll give you a real-life example of why that's not the intent. The day before the governor issued his stay-at-home order, a local real estate agent was at her upcoming listing, getting ready to go onto the market. She was with the Matterport photographer she hired, the person who creates those 3D virtual tours. And while in the home doing this photo shoot, they're touching all the normal touch points in a home, all the light switches, the doorknobs, and who knows what else. At the end of the day, the agent and the photographer go home to their families as they normally would. Then, 3 days later, the phone rings. They get a phone call saying the homeowners have now been diagnosed with COVID-19. Unknowingly, the agent and the photographer were exposed to COVID-19, then unknowingly went home and exposed their own families to COVID-19. And the latest report I just received is the real estate agent is now exhibiting flu-like symptoms. I haven't gotten any update on the photographer yet. My point is this: if you're not in a hardship situation, just wait till this thing is over to put your home on the market. We know COVID-19 is far more contagious than seasonal influenza and ultimately can result in death. I know we all see the numbers on the news, and we all think it won't happen to us until it does. We were also told that older people were more at risk. We still have a limited amount of data to make assumptions on, but here's the facts of what's happening right now in Washington State. This is the cumulative count of confirmed cases as of midnight last Friday night. Obviously, the trend of confirmed cases is still increasing. This is the cumulative count of deaths as of midnight last Friday night, and obviously they're still increasing too. And here's the important part to understand. Look at this chart on the right. Of all the confirmed cases in Washington state, 63% are under the age of 60. The largest infected cohort is ages 40 to 59. People over 60 only make up 36% of those infected, but even though they only make up 36% of those infected, they comprise 93% of the deaths. And with that, we're still seeing an 8% mortality rate on those under 60 years of age. We're seeing young police officers, young firefighters, and young medical personnel die from this virus. What these statistics tell us is that if you line up 12 people under the age of 60 who are infected with COVID-19, statistically, one of them is going to die. Likewise, if you line up 10 people over the age of 60 who are infected with COVID-19, statistically, 9 of them are going to die. You do not want to be the accidental cause of putting anyone into either one of these risk pools. My role as a real estate agent is to give you the best possible advice I possibly can. And right now, I'm recommending if you're not in a hardship situation, wait to put your home on the market. If you're not in a hardship situation, wait to shop for a new home. You never know what you're walking into, and even though you may be symptom-free today, what happens if in 3 days you're diagnosed as carrying COVID-19? Where were all the places you traveled looking for a home that may potentially now be contaminated? Do all the virtual shopping you want and make a list of the properties you want to see when this virus is gone. But if you're not in a real estate hardship, just wait this out. That's the safest thing to do for everyone and the best advice I can give you. So let's talk about what's going to happen to the Seattle real estate market after the coronavirus is gone. I'm already seeing headlines that indicate real estate is gonna boom after the virus is gone. And conversely, I see bold print that predicts a market crash. Here's the reality. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen after this virus is gone. What I do know is prior to the virus, our Seattle real estate market was driven by a very strong jobs market and a shortage in housing. As a result of this virus, we know huge numbers of service and hospitality workers as well as others have already lost their jobs because of the stay-at-home order. What we don't know is how long will it take for jobs to get back to normal. You know, I look at restaurants in my own community, and once they're given the green light to resume their operation, they'll have to order food from their suppliers. That'll take time. And their former employees, are they still even available to come back to work, or have they gone somewhere else? Will people start going to restaurants right away? Will there be restaurants that just didn't financially survive the stay-at-home order? I mean, all this we don't know yet. And then I look at the airline industry. I personally canceled several trips this season. Will flights be back to 100% occupancy right away? Will the reduction in the number of flights be restored right away? I doubt it. When I made my travel plans, it was 4, 5, 6 months in advance. So I don't expect the airlines to recover back to 100% immediately. How long will it take? No one really knows. Now this chart shows the results of a PricewaterhouseCoopers survey of 50 leaders from a cross-section of industry. 90% of them think they'll be back to normal within 3 months, and 66% of them think they'll be back to normal in less than a month. Unfortunately, my source for this chart didn't provide a link to the supporting data. I'm guessing from the title these are large companies and not representative of small companies, which leads to my next point. When you see these types of headlines, don't take the headline at face value. Look at the source of the information. I saw this article from Fox News. Look at this headline. Real estate will boom once coronavirus threat is gone. Go ahead, put your house on the market. But when you check out the author, he's a real estate agent, and he really didn't provide much more than just his own opinion in the article. And what else would you expect a real estate agent to say? Likewise, I've seen videos like these on YouTube. Housing crash, real estate market mayhem is coming. And I've watched some of these videos just to see if they have any information of value. And of the ones I've watched, without exception, are just someone's opinion based upon nothing but their opinion. So don't get sucked into headlines like these. Even though I don't have a crystal ball, there is one thing I can predict with nearly 100% certainty. When this stay-at-home order is lifted, hair salons and barbershops will be overwhelmed as soon as they open their doors. They'll be at 100% capacity immediately. It'll look like Walmart at 6 a.m. on Black Friday. Personally, I can wait a little bit. My barber does a great job and only charges me $2. No, I'm kidding. He charges me more than that. But not much more. And seriously, I can wait a little bit. So just like Black Friday, I won't be standing in line. Okay, let's get back to the stay-at-home restrictions on real estate agents. Because many of the restrictions have been lifted, the service Seattle area real estate agents can provide is almost back to normal, but that's intended to be for the benefit of hardship cases. Now, don't get me wrong. You can still get all of your planning out of the way to get your home on the market soon. You can have your virtual meetings with your real estate agent. Matter of fact, I've been having numerous virtual meetings every week. And you know, prior to 3 weeks ago, I think maybe I'd been on a Zoom meeting once. And now I feel like a Zoom meeting expert because I've been in so many Zoom meetings. Please fulfill as many real estate needs as you can on a virtual basis. It'll be safer for you, your family, your relatives, and those around you. We don't want to unintentionally add anyone to the COVID virus risk pool. Before we got into this virus environment, we had a very strong real estate market, and the only thing that changed was the impact of the virus. The remaining question is, how long will it take to get back to normal after the virus? And no one knows that answer, except for the people who cut your hair. They're going to be busy. There's no doubt about that. So that's our episode for today. I hope you found value in today's video. If you did, click that subscribe button and click that reminder bell. That reminder bell will notify you when I post new videos. If you like today's video, smash that like button. That tells Google's algorithm that there's good information in this video. And finally, please share this link with someone you know who can benefit from the information on this YouTube channel. You can find my email address and my telephone number in the description below and at the end of this video. Call me or email me. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to represent you in your next real estate transaction. I'm Bob.Woolverton. I'm with Pure Real Estate in Bellevue, Washington. Here on YouTube, I'm known as your Northwest Realty Advisor. Every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., I post new videos about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, as well as some home tours and listing videos. Stay safe and healthy, and remember, not all heroes wear capes. I'll see you next week.